Yes, Spurs fans, welcome back to the Irish Hotspur. We're going to be giving our reaction to the different Spurs fans on Twitter that are reacting to, in my opinion, the worst performance of the season thus
Yeah.
far under Thomas Frank. And I thought we started off with some surprising player ratings from Football Confidential. Of course, everyone's welcome to feel differently about the game, but this was rather generous. I thought
Yeah.
so. Everybody give us your player ratings down below, please. Smash the like button as you're coming in here and do let us know what your thoughts are on the game. And of course, which of the tweets that you agree with most. And are finding, enjoyable. I've tried to maybe find one or two funny ones, but after games like this, it's always hard. Vicario 6, absolutely shocking. I think Vicario played a big part in the goal that we ended up conceding. Spence is 6, completely crazy. I think Spence
Should
is
be a
probably a,
3.
a 3 or 4, exactly my thoughts. Romero and Van de Ven, I'm happy with a 6
Solid.
and a 7. I thought they were actually the only shining light of this game because I thought they dealt with almost everything pretty well, if not perfectly. Udogi,
0 quality.
like I'd also
4.
go similar to Spence,
He
3.
was up against Matt Doherty. 4.
Yeah, maybe even maybe worse than Spence if you
0
want to go that
quality.
way.
Yeah, he
Pa-
ran a lot, but we can play, we can go and hire, the Diamond League sprint and athletics hire, front row if we want, to be able to bring them in here and run a lot. Fine, he got up and down the pitch. Great, I expect that from a fullback, but what quality did he deliver?
Seriously,
0. For me, he gets a 3. He was up against Matt Doherty, one of the worst fullbacks in the Premier League.
Palhinha, I'd go 7 is fine because he ended up picking up the winger,
Good
but
call,
again, that feels a bit sort of generous because I didn't think like Palhinha did a lot up until that point. To be
yeah.
fair, I didn't think it was necessarily one of his best games up until that point. Bentoncourt, I thought he was like a 5. I showed him some praise because a lot of people are calling out Bentoncourt after tonight. If you watch it back, at least from what I saw, Bentancur was less guilty of giving the ball away unnecessarily. He won the ball back a few times, was making some good recoveries, and was able to retain possession for Spurs. He didn't do a whole lot for us going forward, but I just don't think he was as sloppy as other people were in possession. Bergvall, I'd give like a 4 or 5, really. I just didn't think he
Yeah.
offered a whole lot in this game. And if he needed to, in my opinion, do much better with that opportunity that fell his way, Kudus, I'd give a 7 or
Yeah.
6. Like, I'm not going to give him an 8. That seems generous. I feel like you have to win the game for him to get an 8. And he missed a huge chance at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Xavi, I'd give a 3 or 4 as well. Just thought he lacked quality throughout the game. Never really was able to get into the game. Or Charleston, did he even
And A.
play? It was like
And
one
A.
of those, like a 2, a 3. Did he even
None
play?
of applicable. He didn't touch the ball.
Because there were like it's not like he got a plethora of service, but there were some moments where it felt like, a striker would have been able to get on the end of one of those. And then he wasn't necessarily getting himself into the game by
Yeah.
dropping deep and holding up the ball either. Poro, 4 or 5, don't really care. Johnson, 2 or 3. The dude literally did less than nothing, it felt
0.
like, since coming on. Give him a 0. Sarr, I'd give like a 5, 6, whatever. Odebear similar, like a 1 or a 2, something like that. Like
This one's crazy. Don't
a
even
tell a
understand.
7. I didn't even see that part. Jesus.
Oh my god, I don't
Oh my.
understand it.
Especially at the end there when he gave the ball away 2 times. Like, I'm sorry, tell like he looked all right when he first came on, but then towards the end there, he actually destroyed 2 of our opportunities to like get a final last attack. He gave the ball away
Let
2
me
times at the end
let
there.
me get this straight. I think he's given Tell a 7 on the basis that he put that cross in. He's given Papa Matasar a 6, even though it's Papa Matasar who laid it off perfectly that allowed Joe Palini
Amazing.
to hit the first time. Don't understand it.
No, I don't. All right, we'll move on from that eyesore.
Yeah.
Owen THFC, this is a billion times worse of a performance
Yeah.
than Bournemouth. Would completely agree. Paulo Keefe, honking performances, not even at the races. There's just, a lot of Spurs fans out there giving similar sort of
Didn't even
thoughts.
get out the traps.
Exactly. Spurs Express, full time, it ends 1-1. Boos from the fans at full time. And I think that's fair enough. I do as well, Dave. Very poor second half and lucky to even get a late goal. Improvement needed. I think the fans were right to react however they wanted because this is a game where if you want to take yourself seriously as a top 4 contender, these are games you have to win. Maybe credit that they found a bit of quality at the end to grab a point, but like it was absolutely shocking football for pretty much minute 1 to minute 90. So it's not like, they deserve clapping or praise or anything. Like, and at the end of the day, fans are going to boo when they watch a performance like that.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, we're paying some of the highest tickets there is to pay in football to watch this shit.
Yeah.
Fans are, there's only so much love fans are going to go along with it before they start venting their frustrations. And yeah, people might say, oh, it's too early to boo under the Thomas Frank era. They're not booing just what's Thomas Frank. Booing this forward line. It's been turgid since we saw that we came. Since we never failed to replace Sonny properly. That's what they're booing. They're just sick of watching it. Today was just atrocious. Vicario. kicking out from the back, atrocious.
Yeah.
Spence,
Just booing the
you
quality.
just didn't even want to play today. Just kept on passing it inside. Adogi, run up and down, no quality. Paulinho, Barry's goal, he gave away the ball nearly every time he touched it.
Yeah.
Bergwijn, done absolutely nothing. Richarlison, nothing. Johnson, Udebur, Tell, nothing. Simmons, zero. I mean, what is there to applaud? Honestly, seriously, what is there to applaud? Even Frank got his substitutions wrong. There's
Yeah.
zero to applaud. You know me, I'm not one of these. We got to draw. Let's get behind the players. They need the confidence boost. Let's clap them. Clapping ain't giving them that confidence boost that you think it is. At the end of the day, sometimes a good old boo, let them know it's not acceptable. Let's see if they can galvanize and go, right, let's get on the training pitch tomorrow and put this bloody right.
And LJ1882 went wrong. Answer: we thought our team has changed. Yeah, it was a bit of a wake up call, actually. With this side. Johnny H, very, very generous in my opinion. Johnny H, maybe glossing over, I think, one of the worst performances we've ever seen under this Thomas Frank era thus far. He's saying the first half we continually pressed them, pushing forward and regularly down the left hand side through Udogie, Simmons, and through Kudus down the right. I would say I don't think we really pressed that well. We were doing like a mid-low block type of thing, which is fine if it works out and causes problems, but I don't think it necessarily was. I think it was just sort of creating a bit of a cagey affair between both teams. It was not necessarily stifling them or causing them a ton of problems. I just don't think Wolves were good enough to really break it down. And then also, I just wouldn't even say to say we were pressing is like just a generous word. It's not the way that I would describe it. And then to say that we were pushing regularly down the left-hand side through Udogie and Simmons, what did Simmons and Udogie do with the opportunities we had when we did push down their sides? Like Simmons ballooned it out of play. First touches were terrible. And then Udogie had one or two crossing opportunities that he absolutely should have gotten a decent ball in and just couldn't. So I just think that's being exceptionally generous there.
I
And then,
really like Johnny. And I have so much respect for the guy, but I do disagree with the breakdown in general. And I question how much of it is because he went so hard on Ange Postecoglou. He's almost trying to cover up some of the things that are going wrong under Thomas Frank because he made Postecoglou so much of the problem. I think it's okay to admit that Thomas Frank ain't the problem, that there's deeper problems at Tottenham that we need to fix. And I think that's maybe where the post-match summary has gone wrong. I think it's more trying to protect Frank than
I feel that way.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also this coming from someone who wasn't Ange's biggest fan. I wasn't Ange's biggest fan, and I still think this sort of reeks of a lot of just like you don't want to blame Frank, but you're happy to blame Ange, kind of thing. I'm happy to blame both perfectly.
Yeah.
To be honest, I kind of lie in that boat. Talk to HFC. How was Richarlison survived, by the way? Done absolutely nothing all game. Quite incredible. I think Richarlison Day for me is just benefiting from the fact that Tell hasn't taken his opportunities, Matisse Tell. So Frank doesn't trust Matisse Tell to come on. Dane Scarlett, as well, just clearly isn't trusted by the manager for whatever reason. We don't seem to know why. And then Dominic Solanke being injured, Kolomwani being injured is just convenient for Richarlison.
It's convenient for Richarlison, but I'm almost at the point. When do you just go, Scarlett, get your boots on? When do you just be brave and go, right? I don't care how much we're paying Richarlison. I don't care how much you're getting paid Matisse Tell. You're not producing. I'm not sitting there continuing to watch this. I'm not going to keep putting you out there hoping something's going to change and your confidence is going to miraculously come around. Sometimes keep putting them out there is only making things worse.
Yeah.
At what point do you turn to young Dane Scarlett, who, by the way, I think people forget, when he came off the bench for Postecoglou last season, he impacted games. Why not give him the opportunity? If he doesn't do any better than them, fine. Fair enough.
Give him 10 minutes.
At the end of the day, can he do any worse right now?
Yeah, I'd say give him 10 minutes like you gave for Matisse Tell. That's what I would argue. Anas Ahmed, Spurs are at home and can go up to second, set 2 points off of the top with a win against bottom of the table Wolves, who are yet to pick up a point all season. I've never been less confident in my life. Tottenham Maskey, we have an opportunity to go to second today. Come on, lads. There's the gift that he responded with. We all knew it was happening. Dr. Tottenham, we tried to manifest it, tried to say, you know what, it can't happen. Surely we're over it by now. No, we're not. Timothy Vicario needs to go. I'll say it again and again. If we want to challenge for the top, he's just not good enough. Now, I wouldn't say this is a commonly held opinion among Spurs fans, but I've seen it more than once, Dave. So what are your thoughts?
I'm going to make an argument here. This isn't me turning on Vicario because I actually really like Vicario. But Aaron Ramsdale done a decent job for Arsenal, right?
And
people were surprised when they went after David Raya.
I know where you're going.
But look at the massive improvement David Raya brought to that team. And I just wonder, once we solve other problems, like the forward line and stuff like that, then Vicario will become a highlight so much more.
Yeah.
He will become under so much more scrutiny. Now we're nowhere near at yet to be able to pump that money into a goalkeeper when we need to pump it into other areas more urgently. That will pay more dividends. But there will come a point he will be under the microscope, and I wouldn't rule out Tottenham looking to go after somebody else and maybe doing what Arsenal did in terms of Ramsdale and Raya.
Yeah. No, fair point. Actually, food for thought there. Especially when it comes to, in my opinion, just being able to just do some of the basics that Vicario sometimes struggles with, like, which is dealing with set pieces or just claiming the ball with two hands instead of just parrying it every single time or punching it away every time. Just seems to be an area he still kind of struggles with and maybe might not really ever improve in, despite his good shot stopping. Lily White Lab, Paulinho and Bentancur will never ever work. I don't know how long it's going to take for people to realize
I
that.
disagree.
I will say, like, this is a person as well who really hates Joao Paulinho, so I'm surprised that, I'm not surprised that they're not going to show in Joao Paulinho any praise here. But Dave, thoughts on this?
I completely disagree. I struggle to understand the context
Seems like a
behind it.
narrative.
But I
Yeah.
think a lot of people will support this narrative in general. But I tell you why I disagree. Are we saying it's never going to work because they're not good enough in midfield or they're not progressive enough? It's not their job. Their job is to get the ball into the forward line, which they do.
Yeah.
If the forward line can't create, then why are you putting it on the likes of Bentancur and Paulini and going it's too defensive? Go and ask questions of your love boy, Brennan Johnson. Go and ask questions of Wilson Oldebur. Stop protecting Tell and go and ask questions of him. Same with Richarlison, Solanke. All these players that we paid 40, 50 million a pop for are
Yeah.
on over 100 grand a week at Tottenham Hotspur. Start asking questions of them and what they're not doing instead of putting it on the likes of Paulini and Bentancur. Their job is to protect that back line and move that ball into the front line, which they do exceptionally well. But people are having a go at Bentancur because he's not creating. It's not his fucking job. It's what we paid 65 million for Xavi Simmons to do.
Yeah. I'd also add that in this game in particular, I can't recall that many times where Bentancur actually gave the ball away. Like, if actually he was one of the only guys that seemed to actually retain possession for Spurs with a good first touch, with a simple pass, to sort of give others time on the ball to make something happen. And that's some of the basics of the game. Don't get me wrong, but I actually think he was showing more of the simple tidiness that other players weren't showing in this game, if you ask me. And I just said during the pre-match buildup today, I thought Bentancur had some pretty poor performances coming into this game. I don't think today was necessarily a poor performance actually from Bentancur. Tan saying when you've got Tell, Odebear, Richarlison, and Johnson as your attacking options, this is what you get. I think that's where
Yeah.
we sort of felt like after this transfer window, we were like, I still have some question marks about that forward line. Like, are they actually as good as we need them to be in order to, again, push much higher up in the table? And I think games like this sort of seem to show it, especially when it just comes to being clinical in front of goals. Like, geez, none
Well,
of them are.
we were
Um,
showing last year it's a relegation front line.
yeah, and the only thing that's improved is Kudos, but we then lost Sonny. BL, THFC, everyone around us dropping points, and we're playing a side with 0 points this season. I've seen this
Yeah.
script before. That probably makes the thumbnail.
Everyone
Uh,
felt it coming.
yeah. Tans, Frank's had a howler today. Thoughts, though, why on earth would you put Kudos left wing to accommodate Brennan Johnson? Dear, oh dear. That was my thoughts after the post match as well.
Run the
Was,
lights up on that one. That's a good
yeah,
one.
I just felt like, was that the logic? And if that was the logic from Thomas Frank, find that very, very shocking, really, because Kudus is your most dangerous player. Don't change that. It's not like the Wolves defender was doing anything to sort of stop Kudus. He was our only creative outlet. And then you move Brennan Johnson over there, who had a good game against a League One side. But it doesn't mean then that you accommodate Brennan Johnson. You should never be accommodating for Brennan Johnson. That just
But you
doesn't
know
make
what's even
sense to
more
me.
bizarre though, Jack? Move him over there when Doherty's on a yellow card. Not after he's been taken off the pitch.
Right. No, no, no. Well, that's why we call for Odebear to be coming on soon. Yeah, just all got it wrong. Gus saying 9 games in and we produced some jarring performances. Nothing to really say about this one. Embarrassing, no patterns, couldn't string 3 passes together, spam crosses in and hope that Kudus produces a bit of magic. The players deserve some shit, but today's mostly on Frank. I kind of agreed with most of this, to be honest, Gus.
Yeah, look, I think it's very well summed. I think no patterns is absolutely spot on, in terms of everything. I am seeing a trend though where people are starting to turn on Thomas Frank a lot more. I would
Yeah.
urge people, you're going down the same route you did with Jose Conte and Postecoglou.
Uh, Daddy Inya scores again.
Yeah. 4 goals this season.
Patty, can Sky please get that insufferable of an Arsenal
Yeah.
fan, Alan Smith, to commentate on other games other than Spurs? This just always seems to be the case, isn't it? That the former Chelsea, former Arsenal seem to commentate on Spurs. The Spurs web, how the table looks after a 1-1 draw. What's just crazy about this table? Sunderland in fourth, Bournemouth in fifth, the likes of Chelsea in eighth, Fulham with one game to go. Actually, if they win tomorrow, they'll be tied with us on points, which is just insanity. Like, maybe I don't think we're getting ahead of ourselves, but it has been a bonkers of a Premier League table so far. So maybe it's just something we'll have to navigate. Simply
Like,
Spurs. Yeah. Go ahead.
just on the Premier League table, just quickly though. Third looks great.
Crystal Palace in second. Insane.
Palace are there. Sunderland are there. Forget about them. They're not the teams we're competing with this year. We're expected to somehow try and compete with your Cities, Arsenal, and Chelsea's. And that's where it went wrong today. We should have had more of a points buffer because we've got all them games coming up. Should have built this point buffer going in, and we've dropped points. And when we come into the games, we lose to them. All of a sudden, they start overtaking us, and top four looks less and less and less.
Yeah.
And that's why today was a huge loss. Forget about sitting there third in the table, being around Palace and Sunderland. If more so focus on we didn't, expand the gap between us and Man City, us and Arsenal, and Chelsea. That's the biggest disappointment.
I'd agree there. Simply Spurs, the most predictable outcome in football history. Luke, we've seen a lot of shit in the last 7 to 8 years, but this is by far the worst 45 minutes I have seen effing hell. If you're talking about the first half, I would disagree. Second half, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you there. Second half was atrocious, but first half,
argue.
Yeah.
Was Doncaster's second 45 any better?
Yeah, seriously. But I think it's been a trend over the last sort of season or two, really. We've seen some absolutely shocking, halves, and especially sometimes second halves. Spurs have basically created nothing from open play in their last 5 Premier League, Champions League matches. Open play XG by match 0.56 today, 1.18 versus Brighton. I would say Brighton, we created enough in that game, if you ask me. But Villarreal, shocking, 0.39. West Ham, again, I think the XG maybe has proven a bit wrong against West Ham, but then Bournemouth, shocking. So for the most part, I would agree with a lot of these matches, apart from maybe Brighton and West Ham, really.
Well, I think, I applaud Anthony here because I think it backs up what I've been trying to say. Heading into this game, and there was a stat saying, I think we were the second highest scorers, and I sort of tried to say, I don't pay attention to that because you look at some of the other teams, the bigger teams in the league, they've all played each other. We've had an easy run, sort of, to a large degree up to this. So, you'd expect it to be a bit more in our favour. But, I mean, it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. And the problem is, now people are starting to get frustrated at players further back the pitch because they're not creating. When really it's up to the forward line, and it's a huge issue. But it's the same shit from last season.
Yeah. The wait continues.
6 games.
That's insane.
Madness.
That result. It's just Wolves. I banish them from the relegate them so we don't have to play them again, please. Apollo, Frank, why are you playing Kudus left wing to accommodate Brennan Johnson? Few people had that conclusion, as did I. Joe saying equalizer took us from 7th to 3rd. Michael Hamilton, Wolves are to us what we are to Manchester City. No matter how poor they look, they always seem to find a way to get a result against us. Dave was saying this a little bit. Kane from the lane, bringing up when we played Bournemouth, it was a horrendous performance post-match is the biggest learning. And then he's saying you learned nothing. Yeah. Jake, boy, am I glad we started Bentancur Palhinha together with at home against a team with 0 points this season. I think we made our point earlier that I don't think that was really the issue going on in this game. And Pop Montessar just need to come on sooner. And I think we could have probably rescued something a bit sooner if Pop Montessar had come on. Talk THFC, really happy that we managed to get a point. Really worrying performance, though. People are right to have concerns about Frank. So far, I would agree with that. Maybe just now that I'm thinking of it, going back to the last tweet. I do find it very interesting that, again, I don't think Bentancur played a blinder or anything, but it's very interesting that people are so quick to blame Bentancur and then not look at Lucas Bergvall once again. I just do feel like Lucas Bergvall, he wasn't the problem or anything either, but it's not like he played, exceptionally well that he's exempt then from the criticism of putting Bentancur Palhinha together like this. I just think it's a bit of a narrative where, like I say, certain players just seem to be totally exempt from criticism. And then others, just seem to get thrown under the bus, kind of like Bentancur. And this is someone that was criticizing Bentancur going into this game. But I don't know. I just felt like Bentancur didn't play as poorly as people say he did.
I agree with you on that one as well. Also, to THFC's point, don't get me wrong. I do question Thomas Frank and his substitutions and in terms of trying to go on about fixing this game, Kudos over the left. I question his in-game management today, 100%. But I mean, like, I'm already starting to see what we've seen in years gone by. There's a narrative now. Play Johnson in the nine. Frank won't play Johnson in the nine. That's his fault. Johnson has never been a nine in the Premier League for any
Mhm.
club. You know what I mean? It's madness. People are saying he's making the wrong decision. Playing Xavi out left and not through the middle. Played the majority of his games for Leipzig off the left hand side,
Yeah,
and it's sort of like people are starting to go after the manager. But yet when things aren't going well, how many people protect Johnson? How many people out there get out there and protect Hell? How many people get out there and protect Udabur? How many people get out there even protect Richarlison, Dom, Solanke? But when it comes to the managers, everyone wants to make them the problem the whole time.
yeah.
This forward line, since we've sold Harry Kane and Son, has been dross. It was never Postecoglou's fault. It's not Thomas Frank's fault either. Start going after the players and stop protecting them, and start giving the managers a little bit of that protection that you give some of these guys.
Seriously. Jersey Spurs, we could play until next Saturday and we'd not have scored. Dave was saying
Yeah.
that felt like from the first half. Frank out saying they're going to blame the guy who's won us at basically every point we have this season before they question Thomas Frank. I think he's talking about Joao Polina, being blamed basically for
Mm.
everything, or I think the blue tactic is getting called out, but there's already a Frank out account in case you need to find out. Paddy Power taking your shirt off to celebrate getting a late equalizer against Wolf has to be a new low. Kind of is. The Spurs watch. Not sure why he's taking his shirt off. He
Yeah,
is
it's a bit
ripped though, to be fair. So maybe he's just showing that off to the ladies, even though I know he has a wife and kids. Spurs Express saying taking your shirt off to celebrate an equalizer to get a team with 0 points. Not sure about that one. And then there you go, everybody. Just thought those were kind of funny. Just a
I do,
lot.
I
There were
do
so many
understand.
tweets about that it was kind of funny.
I do understand it, right? You sort of like show some composure, go and pull the ball out of the net, put it down
Yeah.
on the centre circle. Let's see if we can go and get another quick attack. But this guy doesn't score too many goals in his career. He's on a fucking streak right now of
Yeah,
4 goals.
seriously.
He's just enjoying himself. Look, let the guy live a little. In fact, if any player deserves to celebrate, it is him. He's been
Yeah,
carrying the side.
he's been carrying the side in terms of goal scoring. So maybe might as well. The strikers all do that when they score. Why can't Paulinho? But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you there. He's on a fat goal scoring streak for how few goals he scored in his time. To be honest, so it's a very fair point to make. If only we had Joao Paulinho up front, maybe we'd be doing a little bit better. Everybody, smash the like button on your way out, please. Let us know if you disagree with anything we had to say or agreed, and do let us know some of your favorite tweets that you saw from this and just your general thoughts on the game. And we'll see you next time. Come on, you Spurs. Get ready for Bodo Glimt on Tuesday. They come thick and fast, so we got to pick ourselves up and get ready for that one. See you, everyone.